levels, not only in Saudi Arabia and everybody else. And from that income level, we look at, okay, depending on the amount of monthly debt management that they're doing, how much financing can we give an individual? Because the key here for the financing industry is to create affordability and not to create customers with tremendous debt. We want to create affordability, not indebtedness. People have made those mistakes in certain countries where people are ridden by debt. We want to create affordability, and we want the supply side to understand what that affordability is. Not to build houses just because people can get loans, but to build houses against real affordability. That is key. So let's look at this for a second. On the left side here, we've got a significant amount, a line of income levels. And according to that income levels, we said, okay, how much of a house, after we finance them, how much of a house can these different income levels buy? Now, there's an important story here for you to understand. The disconnect is so significant that I had a major marketing company come to my office, and they worked for one of the largest development projects in this country. And they came and told me that we work for this development project, and we're marketing for them, and these are our ads. And they had beautiful young Saudi couples and beautiful homes, young Saudi couples and beautiful homes on these pictures. So we're bankers, and we're risk managers. Immediately, we said, okay, what is the income level of these Saudi individuals and families? They said anywhere between $12,000 to $15,000 a month. At that point, we took out our calculators because we are boring bankers, and we said, according to their income levels, they can probably buy a house for anywhere from 1.3 to 1.5 million. So my next question was, what is the sales price of this development? And the answer was 2.5 million and above. Now that is the disconnect I'm talking about. Who are you building for, and why are you building so much when the market cannot today absorb it? And that is a key problem today. But the financial industry, a proper mortgage industry, helps solve that problem if it communicates well to the developed supply side and the buyer side and educates them on the fact that you have to make real business plans. You have to make a business plan that will sell. Now, if you look at this, the target markets are anywhere between the salaries, the income levels that you're seeing, and when developers have looked at this, they've constantly asked us, they said, well, I should be building for this target market in the gray area and the dark blue area. I don't understand why I'm not building to that. Now, they come up with different scenarios. They're like, well, land value is an issue, this is an issue, that's an issue. But what we tell them is very clearly, build what you can sell. If you have 350 square meters to build a duplex, you don't have to build on 275 square meters. Build on 150 square meters, a house for a young couple that they can expand in the future when their income level gets better, but sell the house to a buyer. Don't build something that you will hold on to for 5 years and not sell it. And that is a critical understanding from this graph that the supply side and the demand side needs to understand, and we as mortgage industry bankers study this constantly. So really, to recap, the perspective on the market is, it's a young market, it's a strong market, but it has to become real. The demand is there, but it will only become real when everybody understands true purchasing power, and when institutions like the mortgage industry can go and really finance people based on affordability and create that affordability for people. Otherwise, transactions will not take place. Without transactions, the real estate industry is just buildings. That's all it becomes. And in your neighborhood, in your regional countries, you have seen beautiful buildings. But the question is, when was the last transaction done in those regions? Now, at this point, I'd like to talk to you about what the mortgage industry is. I've been talking about how it's important, why we need it. Well, let's see if there's a proper infrastructure, and what is the infrastructure required for it, and how far behind or how far ahead is Saudi Arabia in getting there. And that's one of the key questions that needs to be understood. So let's look at the current foundation in Saudi Arabia. And believe me, I've been here and I've been impressed by the foundation in Saudi Arabia. What Saudis sometimes don't understand, and I constantly tell them, is that your government, your regulators have created something very strong that you should be impressed by. You should really have pride in what exists here. You have the foundation to build upon, and you should not walk away from it. It's easy to criticize sometimes, but it's hard to understand. We need to understand what's available and build upon it, because if we sit back and continuously criticize, we will never build. So the foundation is pretty strong. If you look at this, the mortgage life cycle are in place because you have a strong creditor that is being developed in the form of SEMA. They have the right foundation. Dubai doesn't even have a strong credit agency today, but the foundation of building a technologically advanced credit agency is already in place. Your payment systems, your electronic payment systems, the Sharia system, is a very advanced payment. I can even go to the United States today and I don't think I'll find something as centralized and advanced as you have here today, which is very impressive and makes my job very easy as a banker. Gives me the confidence that I need to work with homeowners and borrowers that can actually pay back easily and with convenience. The appraiser industry, yes, it's not completely developed yet, but there's a foundation being built today. The title registration and insurance are in their development phases, rather than in countries where they cannot even be seen, but yet there is real estate demand. Sharia financing, why is this important? Because along the Muslim world, across the Muslim world, the one thing we have understood about the financial market is that the Muslim market in majority wants Sharia compliance. They want their financial structures and the economy to be as Sharia compliant as possible. And Saudi Arabia has tested that already with the ijara, murabaha, musharaka mutanaqisa, the forward ijara, the istisna, all being in place and developed by the law firms here and the industry here. Now, the mortgage industry, as much as people sit back and say the law is not there, the industry, mortgages are taking place, real estate finance is taking place in this country. Independent mortgage industries have already been developed, and more are being developed. The banking system has already reacted and they're doing significant amount of transactions already in real estate finance, even though the law is not there. Why? Because the demand is forcing them to do it. Yes, they're being selective in who they're doing it with today because the law is not there, but as you've seen, 1.2 trillion potential. Today you can be as selective as you want to and still run a profitable business in real estate finance. It's a tremendous opportunity. Securitizations, which is important for secondary market for the bankers here, have already been tested with the Kingdom Installment Company securitizations that took place. And as much as you want to criticize it, the regulation is coming. And the three things the regulation is focused on are there. Proper regulation, proper enforcement in courts, which I know everybody wants to talk about, and also recognition of the mortgage industry as a security for the secondary market. That is all being planned and the foundations in writing are there. The execution of it is being worked out today, which is the next proper step, and it has to be done right. It has to be done right. So with all the foundational setups there, let's talk about what a maturing financial or mortgage industry needs and what are the phases that need to be covered. First one I've been through, set the foundation. The next thing that has to happen is banks and independent mortgage companies have to have the confidence from the government and the industry to spur lending. Lending has to be spurred so that people can feel confident and lenders and financiers can feel confident to supply money and financing. The next phase that happens once transactions happen, once transactions take place, the industry starts reacting. That's when liquidity sources start looking at things seriously. Banks turn around and supply liquidity. Governments need to supply liquidity because they see that transactions are finally happening and the mortgage system is working. And then finally, those liquidity sources expand to international markets. Because once you are creating a strong, well-regulated environment, mortgage assets, then liquidity will come from everywhere else. But the key thing is the foundation being started, and Saudi Arabia is at between stage 1 and stage 2 today. Now, how does that compare? You say, well, Saudi Arabia is just at stage 1 and stage 2. It's still so far behind. Well, you'll be surprised it's not. Because if you look at a global perspective of what's happening, you're not so far behind, and things happen fast. Things happen really fast. So if you look at this, for example, and I'll let you look at it, whether you look at Egypt and Jordan, even Mexico, Malaysia, USA,